My name is Eric. This happened during a company gathering a few years ago. At the time, I was working in Chicago, but originally I was from Colorado. So when my office announced that our annual retreat would be held in Estes Park, Colorado, I immediately agreed to go. Honestly, I hadn't been back there in years. The retreat itself was held at an old mountain lodge near the center of town. Apparently, different company branches from across the region were all meeting there for 3 days and 2 nights. The moment we arrived, we were assigned rooms, 2 people per room. I ended up sharing mine with my coworker, Ben. Our room was on the 3rd floor. When we entered, the room actually looked comfortable. Large beds, wood-paneled walls, old-fashioned furniture. It felt cozy in a strange way. After dropping off our bags, we headed downstairs for the opening meeting session. Before reaching the conference room, I stopped by one of my coworkers' rooms nearby. That was when I noticed something strange. His room had carpeting. Mine didn't. At first, I didn't think much about it, but then I noticed every other room on the floor also had carpet. Only our room had bare wooden flooring. I even joked about it with the others downstairs. Why's our room the only one without carpet? One of my coworkers laughed and said, "Guess you got the cursed room." Everyone laughed. So did I at the time. The meetings continued until around 10:30 that night. By then, I was exhausted. Ben told me he wanted to stop by a convenience store nearby before heading back upstairs. So I returned to the room alone. The moment I stepped inside, I immediately noticed how cold the floor felt beneath my feet. Unnaturally cold. After a long day of traveling and meetings, I decided to shower before going to sleep. The bathroom was small, old, and slightly dim. While the shower water ran, I started hearing something strange beneath the sound of the water. At first, I assumed it was coming from another room, but then I realized someone was humming, a woman, softly singing somewhere nearby. I finished showering quickly and stepped back into the room wrapped in a towel. Ben still wasn't back yet. I climbed into bed and started scrolling through my phone, trying to relax. Then the humming returned. This time, much closer. Not from another room. From inside ours. The sound was soft, almost gentle, but something about it felt deeply wrong. The moment I heard it, every hair on my body stood up. My chest tightened instantly, and for some reason, a horrible thought entered my head. If the voice sounds close, then whatever's making it is even closer. I pulled the blanket over myself and turned toward the wall, trying to force myself to sleep. But my mind wouldn't calm down. Then, suddenly, I heard the room door open, then close. A few seconds later, the main light switched off. Only the dim bedside lamp remained. I assumed Ben had finally come back and thought I was already asleep. Then I heard footsteps slowly approaching the bed. And after that, the mattress shifted slightly behind me, like someone climbing onto the bed. At first, I still thought it was Ben, but when I tried turning around, my body wouldn't move, completely frozen, sleep paralysis. I tried speaking anyway. Ben, you back already? No response. Then suddenly, from directly behind me, I heard the humming again. Not Ben's voice, a woman's voice. Slow, soft, close enough to feel against the back of my neck. My heart started pounding violently. Then another sound started. Scratching, long fingernails dragging slowly across the wall beside the bed. I still couldn't move, couldn't turn around. But from the reflection in the dark window across the room, I could see her. A woman sitting directly behind me on the bed. Long black hair covering her face. Slowly combing her hair with unnaturally long fingers. And every time her fingers moved through her hair, that scratching sound echoed across the walls. All while she continued humming quietly to herself. I tried screaming. Nothing came out. Then suddenly, loud knocking at the room door. Instantly, my body unlocked. I jumped out of bed and spun around. The woman was gone. The knocking continued. I rushed to the door and opened it immediately. Nobody. The hallway outside was completely empty. No footsteps, no movement, nothing. I didn't even hesitate. I grabbed my room key, left the room immediately, and waited outside for Ben. When he finally came back, I told him we are not sleeping in that room tonight. He looked confused, but I refused to go back inside. So we ended up staying in another coworker's room for the rest of the night. I told everyone what happened. Most of them laughed it off. But when I offered to switch rooms with them, nobody agreed. Then, while we were all talking, a loud impact suddenly slammed against the wall from the room next door, hard enough to shake the room slightly. Everyone heard it, and suddenly nobody was laughing anymore. The next morning, I requested a different room immediately. I made up an excuse about the floor being too cold without carpeting. Thankfully, management agreed to move us. The rest of the retreat passed normally after that. Eventually, I returned to Chicago and tried forgetting the entire experience. Then, a few weeks later, I mentioned the lodge to another coworker from a different branch. The moment I said the name of the place, he immediately asked me, "You didn't stay in room 315, did you?" My stomach dropped instantly, because that was exactly my room number. According to him, that room had a reputation. Multiple guests over the years had reported hearing humming late at night, especially when staying alone. And according to several people, the room was always colder than the others, even after renovations. And strangely enough, it was also the only room on the floor without carpeting.